All right, so this is a live update now on the blizzard of 2026. Very impressive satellite picture here as the center of the low pressure system passes the 4070 benchmark. So that is a area of latitude and longitude where we see major winter storms for the Northeast and specifically New England. If they pass by that location or very close to it, then you get a blockbuster storm, and this is no slouch across the area as we do have the storm system moving right over that location, just south of Nantucket, piling up all that moisture from the ocean over parts of New England, New York, down into New Jersey, where we still have heavy, heavy snow falling right now. So let's take a look at radar here as we track this storm moving north. So you can see the radar across parts of New England right now. The heaviest snowfall is falling across parts of southeastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island right now. This is the expectation. This area was supposed to see the most snow from the storm, with the exception of parts of eastern New Jersey as well, seeing a lot of snow. So between eastern New Jersey and parts of southeastern New England, that's where we could see upwards of 2 feet of snow in some spots once the storm is completely done with. So we're going to be tracking this snow band through the rest of the morning and into the early afternoon across southeastern New England. And this is where we could see some really impressive snowfall amounts from the storm. Of course, right now seeing blizzard conditions across that area. So the storm system will stretch into Maine later on today, and we could even see blizzard conditions up along the Maine coastline later this afternoon. And then as we go down here to Delaware and New Jersey, where we've already seen upwards of 20 inches of snow in some spots, the snow is starting to wind down a little bit for Philadelphia and Delaware, but still a very heavy snow stretching from New York City down through the Jersey coastline and into Atlantic City as well. So we have this one narrow band from western Massachusetts down through New Jersey that's on the edge of the drier, colder air that's off to the west, and that's allowing the snowfall to come down a little heavier rate. And then you get closer to the low pressure system in southeastern New England, and that's where we have the heavy snowfall falling from parts of the South Shore of Massachusetts down through Rhode Island. So let's take a look at the warnings that are across the area, as we do have quite a few of those from the storm system. So as we take a look here, we have blizzard warnings still in effect for eastern Massachusetts and even central Massachusetts and Springfield, going down through the New York City metro up into parts of the Catskills. That'll continue until 7 o'clock there. And then for New Jersey, we'll do the Jersey coastline here. You still have until 6 o'clock this evening for blizzard conditions in that area, and then down to Delaware as well. Still 6 o'clock, as you still have some pretty strong wind gusts and moderate snow falling at this time. Washington, D.C. is out of any warnings right now, so no issues there. But if you travel into Maryland, you're going from not too much to blizzard conditions in that area, so you have to watch out for that. You go up into Maine, and this is where we still have blizzard warnings that the storm isn't even there yet until Tuesday at 7 a.m. So we're going to be watching for blizzard conditions later on tonight in parts of Maine as the storm continues to work its way up the East Coast. But a huge swath of the Northeast along the coastline under those blizzard conditions as this storm continues to impact these locations. The mountains of northern New England getting some snow, but at this point out of any major snow conditions for the ski resorts. So let's take a look at some model information here as we track the storm going off to the north. Looks like we get some issues here with our model data, so let's drag it over to the other screen so we can actually see it. There we go. So we're going to be tracking this low pressure system, which, like I said, is by the benchmark, that 4070 benchmark. And it's going to be moving to the north and dragging that heavy snow with it up into Maine later on tonight. So this is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Still seeing that heavy snow across eastern Massachusetts. And then going up into parts of Maine, that heavy band of snow causing the blizzard conditions will continue through this evening. And then as we head into the 7, 8 o'clock time frame later on tonight, right here, you can see that snowfall across eastern Mass still continuing. That's why the higher amounts are probably going to end up here. So that same band that's over New York and New Jersey, New York City and New Jersey, will be over eastern Mass later on this evening and tonight, so between 7 and 8 o'clock. And then you go up into Maine, and that's where the storm will be in full blast up there. But notice how the low is actually way over here, closer to Nova Scotia. So the conditions in eastern Maine won't be quite as bad as they are right now in eastern Massachusetts. And then that low pressure system will work its way off to the north into the Canadian Maritimes, and then we're done by about 11 a.m. on Tuesday, completely done out of New England. No issues there. So let's take a look at the wind speeds with this thing, as we are going to see some pretty impressive wind gusts. We're actually getting some impressive wind gusts where I am in eastern Massachusetts right now. So we go through this afternoon, and the winds will start to pull offshore. So the next few hours, really, the next 3 to 4 hours, we'll be dealing with some very strong wind gusts. So 60 to 70 miles per hour right along the eastern Massachusetts coastline. And certainly for the Outer Cape, where we could get some gusts in the mid-70 mile per hour range. So that's where we'll be looking at the strongest wind gusts, the Outer Cape, and of course Nantucket, as you're close to that low pressure system. And outside of that, still blizzard conditions into western Mass and central Mass, as we have wind gusts over 40, 50 miles per hour. Sustained winds, which is the main criteria for blizzard conditions, those are at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So as the storm moves to the north, the blizzard conditions will exit New Jersey over the next few hours, probably late morning, and then continuing for New England as we head into the early part of the afternoon, tapering off by the evening, but could still see blizzard conditions till midnight tonight across eastern New England. And then for Maine, you're going to be dealing with the blizzard conditions, of course, as we go into the overnight hours, so past midnight tonight, through early Tuesday morning for southeastern Maine, and then the storm system will pull out of here, and the winds will start to change direction as well. So that'll usher the storm right out, and then we'll clear this thing out of here. We, of course, have plenty of coastal concerns as well that we'll be monitoring because of the strong winds. But the good thing is, as we see the winds are out of the northeast, let's take a look at sustained winds right now. The good thing is this is low tide across New England. So this is convenient timing and low astronomical tide as well. So I do think coastal impacts minimal compared to what they could have been with the intensity of this storm. Notice the northeast winds still continuing as we head through this morning and then into the early afternoon. So this is 2 to 3 p.m. and that storm, the winds will start to turn out of the north. So we're going to pull that water away from the coastline, which is good news as we get closer to high tide later on this evening. And I do think that the major impacts in terms of coastal flooding should stay offshore, with those winds now shifting out of the northwest as we head towards high tide tonight. Maybe some issues for parts of the Inner Cape, Mass Bay, and the Inner Cape here, in Cape Cod Bay could see some minor to moderate flooding. And then the storm starts to get towards Nova Scotia later on this evening, and that'll take the coastal concerns completely out of the area by Tuesday morning. So that will certainly help things. We could have seen much, much worse coastal flooding conditions, but we still have a coastal flood warning stretching from parts of New Jersey into Massachusetts right now. So we still could see some moderate flooding in some spots, even with low tide occurring. So let's take a look at this video that I actually took not too long ago here. Let's get some audio first, but let's take a look at this as we continue to watch the storm. As you can see across the area, we had this blizzard conditions move in as we were getting to the 7 to 8 o'clock time frame this morning. I took this video right outside here in southeastern Massachusetts, right along the South Shore. This is what it looks like across the area. You can barely see anything. It's about 1/10 of a mile or less in terms of visibility, and we're getting some conditions that are even more intense than this south of where I am, closer to the Plymouth area and closer to Providence, Rhode Island. So that's where the strongest or most intense snow bands have been this morning. And there's even been reports of thunder snow across the area with these heavy bands that continue to affect southern New England here. So we're going to be going through this for several more hours across the area. And you can see the blizzard warnings that still continue to encompass all of southern New England here, and New York, Delaware, going all the way up into Maine as well. So conditions like I just showed you in that video, that's what we'll be dealing with as we head through this afternoon for much of New England, and that's what New Jersey has been dealing with for several hours here. So let's get an update on some snow totals, as those have been impressive as well. Let's see if I can get you the snow totals here, as we've been dealing with some heavy snow bands through much of New York and New Jersey, New York City and New Jersey through last night. So let's get a look at those snow totals across parts of the Northeast. Most of Massachusetts, it's only been snowing for a few hours here since about 2 in the morning, and we've gotten almost 8-9 inches of snow already, and this thing is just ramping up. Looks like just outside of Norwood, train spotter there at about 10 inches of snow in Westwood. And then we go down to southern Rhode Island, where it's been snowing since 9 o'clock last night. And there's 20 inches of snow, train spotter there in Exeter, Rhode Island. And then let's go down to Long Island, where we have a couple of reports now of 22 inches of snow at the end of Long Island here. So we have some pretty impressive snow amounts. Looks like near the Hamptons, we've got 20 inches of snow through a lot of Long Island here. So this is actually reports from the last 24 hours. So let's filter that out here. So last 3 to 4 hours, between 15 and 20 inches of snow on Long Island. New York City at about 15 to 17 inches of snow there. Impressive amounts. And then we go down to New Jersey, where the storm is going to start wrapping up soon. But we have a 2-foot report, looks like in Freehold in New Jersey. So we'll see if that verifies. There's a lot of blowing and drifting snow because of what we have going on in terms of the blizzard conditions and the blowing snow around. So we'll see if that storm report verifies. And then we go down to Philadelphia, about a foot of snow, and then you go east of Philadelphia, Voorhees at about 18 inches of snow, Mount Holly 18 inches of snow, and just north of that, closer to Trenton, 21 inches of snow in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. So really impressive snow amounts. But right along the coastline, you go west of that into the Scranton area, not as much snow. Allentown, rather, not as much snow. 7 inches of snow on the other side of Pennsylvania here, or the other side of the border from New Jersey into Pennsylvania. And outside of Philly, there's really not much snow. This was really a coastal hugging storm, and that's the way it's going to be as it moves into Maine as well. And let's take a look at some of the snow reports to the north here, north of Boston. Just 3 inches of snow in Ipswich. Lawrence at about 5 inches of snow, and that's from a train spotter at 6:45 this morning. So just starting up through the North Shore of Massachusetts, really. This will continue through the afternoon, and no reports from Maine so far, with, of course, the snow being just offshore. So those blizzard conditions are going to move into Maine later on this afternoon. We still have that blizzard warning right along the coastline there, and that will continue into early Tuesday morning, late tonight in some spots. And let's take a look one more time at radar before we wrap this live stream up. And you can see the snow still hammering southeastern New England. This is the heaviest snow band of 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour, and thunder snow has been reported a number of times across the area. Down through New York and New Jersey, this snow band is going to continue for a few more hours before we see lighter snow take over, light to moderate snow later on in this afternoon. So this storm will start wrapping up for New York City into this afternoon. The blizzard conditions should subside, but we still have several more hours across southeastern New England into this evening. And then for Maine, it's just starting to move in now. So from Portland into Bangor, Rockland, right along the coastline, and all the way up through southeastern parts of Maine, rather, easternmost Maine, it will continue through this evening and into the overnight. So the storm is at its peak right now with that low pressure system passing through the benchmark. As we take a look at satellite here, that 4070 benchmark of all famous winter storms, infamous winter storms. You can see the center of that low pressure system right here, the spin on satellite. about 70 miles, 80 miles south of Nantucket, and it's going to be moving off to the northeast as nor'easters do, with strong winds and still heavy snow continuing as we head through the rest of this evening and as we head through the rest of tonight through parts of New England, northeastern parts of New